Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Jason Allen Jankowski. I'm at netwinningtrader.com is my website, and this is my weekly performance summary for the week ending 10/25/2025. What I'm saying is that all my trading I did this week, live action in real accounts with real profit and loss, I show you that every week, and I do that so that you'll come to understand that the net winning trader protocols for profit, loss control, risk management, and upside potential has a lot more to offer you than what you currently might be experiencing or seeing available. In fact, one of the things that I've come to understand now that I've been trying to market my product offering to, I guess you'd say, the public in the last decade or so, is that you as a trader have to be really careful. And the reason is because about 90% of what you see available on the web is total trash. Won't help you a bit. Sounds great. It's sold by aggressive and sparkling personality quality people, all driving Lamborghinis. But real traders with real cash, they're not flaunting it like that in your face, trying to inspire you emotionally. Quite frankly, it's the exact opposite. And I think you'll discover if you spend enough time with my material, put it side by side with what you see out there, I think you'll become a loyal customer just like the ones I have now. And to help you with that, I'm going to give you a little bit of extra stuff too. If you go to netwinningtrader.com or Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts or Substack Podcasts, you'll see the link to get my Trader's Daily Discipline in addition to this weekly summary. So if you'd like to hear me every day for free, feel free, check it out. But eventually, I hope you'll take time to come to my website, netwinningtrader.com, and let's work a little closer together and see if we can't start to put some real money on the table for you instead of wasting your time with the crap that doesn't work. But just everybody keeps selling the same stuff over and over again. It's really irritating for me. But anyway, let's get on to the real game. So let's talk about the numbers. And when I talk about the numbers, what I mean are closed trades. I don't count open trade profits until they're in the account. Until the trade's closed, it's not a real number. It's just, paper. Um, Unrealized gains or losses are just that, unrealized gains or losses. Sometimes gains will turn into break even trades or losses, and sometimes what you're holding as a loss will rocket away in your favor and you'll have a nice winning trade for holding. So the numbers for closed trades are the ones that matter in the long run. And you'll notice if you watch my broadcast week after week on this one, the weekly performance summary, you'll notice that my net performance on closed trades every week is almost always a net gain. In fact, it's rarely what it is this week, which is a net loss. Let me show you. So we did 10 trades closed. 7 of them were losing trades. 2 longs, 5 shorts. So not a real good ratio for today. Total pips lost 245.4. However, on the win side, we had 3 winners for 212.7. A couple of bad beats in there, which, that's part of the game. Net gain or loss for the week, 33 pips roughly. In my economy, this is a scratch. It really doesn't matter. It's too small of a number. It's actually about what I lose on one losing trade. So what we're talking about here is winners and losers came together this week on closed positions. 1 extra loss, big deal. I'd say the same if it was a win. 1 extra win, big deal. What we're looking for is much higher ratios between winning trades and losing trades, of course. And of course, more than $2.50 out on a winner for every dollar we give back on a loser. So those ratios will come back in line in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'd encourage you to come back and look just for that. It'll help you understand the whole issue of probabilities. What I'm holding now, the trades that I hold, these are the positions that I expect to hatch into the next week or two and make a couple hundred a piece. Um, Also, it's important to understand when I talk about holding a position, I'm not in this to make 20% a year. I don't know what your expectations are, but I wouldn't get out of bed for 50% a year in this business. The risk we take is huge compared to the profitability. So you talk about losing 50% or more of your account balance, which they define that as ruin, drawing down to ruin. If you run that risk or greater in your own personal account and you're not doubling or tripling your money regularly, what's the point of that risk? You know what I mean? So I'm going to show you how to do that if you follow along closely, how to make money at those rates. So when we talk about holding open trades, these are trades I expect to be on for quite a long time. So next week or two really isn't even indicative unless we're stopped out. But for the most part, I'm expecting to hold these for hundreds of points. So the first one, of course, long pounds, 33.14. Friday's close 31, holding an open trade loss of 4. Euro long at 16.13. Um, Gain of about 13.9 on it so far. That's nothing, of course. This is all break even stuff. Yen, believe it or not, long into these highs. Um, Getting buy signals, believe it or not. One of the things that separates the winners from the losers in the long run, in my view, is unbreakable discipline to the methodology. I'm getting buy signals into the yearly highs. Okay, that could be kind of foolish, right? Break lower, we're going to have a loss. Okay, that's true. At the same time, you get an explosive move into fresh yearly highs. That could be 200 or 300 points in 2 days. So I think what my systemized approach is telling me is that there's a potential for an upside rocket here, upside break higher. It may not take everything else with it, but we'll see. Same situation developing in Canada. Along for Canada um, at the end of the week. We'll see. I mean, Canada has been consolidating in the same 120 point range roughly for the past several weeks. That could be the pause that refreshes the calm before the upside storm. Um, One of the things I talk about in the net winning trader protocols is there's only two states to the market. There's the natural and the unnatural state. And then there's only three things the market can do. It can either trend up or trend down or trend sideways. When it trends sideways, that's an unnatural state. That's going to be something that fails in a big way, and you're going to get a bigger move up or down. Now, which way the market goes, you don't know what that breakout's going to be. But we've been in solid uptrend uh, prior to this range, which might mean we're due for an upside break. So we'll see. Open trade equities about a one less than a pip. I mean, total scratch on the week. Open trade gains going nowhere, and we pulled out next to nothing on the week from live action close trades, and that's all she wrote. So let's take a look at what the charts show us. Starting with pounds, as you can see, long from last week, right here, took that trade off. That was the big winner. I added to it on the set of buy signals on Friday. See Friday's buy signals here? This is Monday. This is not available to me. This is closed. It's open in Tokyo, but it's nighttime in Sunday night here in the United States on the East Coast. So I consider the overnight opening action is unavailable to me till the next day as a clue. So I was looking for this market to be somewhere near the high prints at the start of New York. I woke up in the morning and we were actually at a loss on my edition until Tuesday. Took it off at a loss right here at this right in the middle. It broke out to the upside, tested that support resistance area. That's what you see with these solid blue lines. Wait a minute, forgot to do this again, didn't I? Sorry about that. The solid blue lines right here represent previous support and resistance. So I'm looking at this upside move here and this move here, um, adding to it as being longs. Now this, oh, before I forget, these X's over here, that we were short last week from the highs. They were stopped out up here on the highs. We talked about that last week, so I don't want you to get confused that why isn't there something on from this week. So we were stopped out on that, waiting for the next high print. I was looking for this over here somewhere at the start of Monday's or Tuesday's trade. Instead, we went the other way. Stopped out here, as you can see. So this loss from the add plus this win from the gain is a net gain on the week at that point. Big X reversals here at the very bottom of that support resistance area again. I thought perfect buys. Um, Big move lower on news. I forget what it is now. Stopped out, but then another one on the news right there that we're holding. So we're slightly below our opening price, but I think we're holding for a possible low print. So we bought the lows for the week on a signal. Saw new lows on Friday. Of course, that's due to volatility on CPI, I think. And a mild recovery into the close back above the low print. So I think that there's a little bit of push to the upside. It's a risky trade, but it is following the signals, which is the whole point. Um, if we look at our next slide, this is Euro. Again, coming in long on Euro from last week. Adding to it right here, same basic principles. Did that this week on the open Monday. Or I'm sorry, added to it Friday and looked at these on the open as the buy signals prior to being stopped out. I thought this was the place to really, this trade was going to take off from. It was right on our trend line, right on our rising moving average. And what happened? Slam. Came right back. Buy signals firing off too. The market came down and took it out. New buy signal down here as we went into the support resistance zone right here from previous. And that held. Now we've got the market with a rising 50 bar. Stops out of range. Rising 50 bar right here. About to cross the 100 bar. Coming off the low print. These sell signals, as you can see, are all wrong-footed and late. When I say wrong-footed, what I mean by that is that they come on up bars oftentimes. Half of these are on up bars, and they're closing on the wrong side of the averages. In other words, if you want the market to be a sell, you want this kind of sell signal, where it trades. It's a negative bar with a sell signal. It's a negative bar and it closes below the average. If you notice over here, this sell signal, this little one right here next to it, and then this big one right here, those three are up bars closing on the wrong side of the averages, except this one's right on it. And they're up bars. We have that one over here, and another two here. So they're late. So I think all things considered, and being stopped out with these bad beats, I think the system probabilities are about ready to flip back to the positive. If that's the case, then we should see some nice move higher on these open trades in pounds and euro. If we look at yen and CAD, yen's an interesting trade. Here we are, we sold all of the sell signals that were supposed to be right along trend. You can see our downtrend line coming in from last week with sell signal not quite right. Definitely wrong-footed, but below the average, the 100 bar, right along the rail. I mean, it's nice downtrend. Upside break, stopped out for a loss. Next, X reversal right here. Want to be a seller along this line right there, right underneath the previous support and resistance area. I thought that was an excellent trade, and it showed us a little bit here and there, but nothing worth keeping, I guess, up to here for our exit, and then um, buy signal, first one on the 60-minute. There's also buy signals on the higher time frames, which I can't show you. So that's what I'm saying on yen. If this is it, this could be right here, this top of the range right here. This is it for the year. So this top of the range upside breakout, tight bars, trending higher, nice big bid wick off of the buy signal on what could be developing uptrend. Um, could be an upside break. It seems to be holding well. I mean, it started on Wednesday night and went into Friday's close. So we can't argue that possibly this could be an upside break. If it is, it may really rocket away. And then of course we've got Canada, which was consolidating nicely between, see where these X's are right here, and the top wicks right here. That was about the extreme edges of this range for the past 2 weeks. So short from the high part right here, and stop at break even as we roll down to the bottom. Got long at the bottom, right? Um, Actually, I was long coming into it. My mistake. Long coming into it right here. I'm looking for an upside or a downside break. So this is a bad beat. My sell tagged out my stop loss on the buy. So I lost money on the buy side. Then the market came up to break even on the sell side before making fresh lows. This X right here was unavailable to me, happened overnight. This on the bar it came on, it was overnight action, 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's unavailable to me. This was the next morning during the day. I took that long right there, and we saw no heat on it. And in fact, at one point, had some nice open trade gains on it after the news. So I gotta believe. Oh, and next week we'll be rolling the stop to break even on this. That right now we don't have it. It's still down here, down there somewhere. But we'll get to it. So what we're looking for is this kind of action next week, because the market is rejecting these low prints. Look at the bid wick right there. Another one here, not so big, but followed by a bigger one. As the market actually probed into the low prints, it was bought back right away. And then we have some big upward move on short covering. I think it's interesting to note that the big move lower from this point was answered back by an equally large move to the upside a day later. That's time compression happening right there. If that continues in the next day or two, you'll get a move that could be 2 or 3 times as big in distance and ferocity. It looks to me like it's upside bias. Yen and Canada both look like upside bias to me. Now, we'll see. Hopefully we won't, get our head slammed in the drawer, but for the most part, it's looking good. And of course, we got long positions on pounds and euro that apparently appear to be building some strength too. So it could be an interesting next week, because typically the dollar, if it's a dollar denominated and dominated market right now, you can't have both pairs going in the same direction. So I fully expect that 2 of these will work and 2 of these won't next week. But the ones that do work could be some pretty big moves. And what we're hoping is that we can get some break-even stops rolled into next week before the big move actually happens. And that's it for this week, guys. Not really a big week at all. A little frustrating week, getting stopped out on stuff I was hoping to hold. But, as I said, it is what it is. And this last 3 weeks, we had some bad beats. Didn't like those at all. But it is what it is. There's no perfect situation to trade. There's no perfect systemized approach. There's only perfect discipline. And that's what you need to develop. Okay, thanks for coming. I'll be posting my performance every week on Saturday. Feel free to come and check it out. You can also take a look at my website, netwinningtrader.com. If you consider yourself a serious trader and you really want to learn to use better tools and learn how to use those tools even better, then you need to come have a look at what I'm doing, because I think you'll find that my Net Winning Trader Mindset and protocols are radically different than anything you can find out there. And if you're serious about yourself and your results, you have to look at it, because if you're honest with yourself and your results, you can't BS me because I've been around 40 years. 85% of you listening are either losing, or if you're making money, it's way below what you could earn, and you know that. So most of the time, you're losing. You make money, you give it back, or you just can't seem to get an edge up, and you do your absolute best, and you can't figure out why. And then you'll make money for a couple of weeks, and everything seems to be improving, and then you'll stagnate, and net for 6 months of trading, you're up less than the S&P. So I mean, that's better than losing, but seriously, I think you could do better. So if you're like that, I think you're going to see that I've got something to offer. Also, I got a free daily podcast, Traders Daily Discipline. You can look it up, Traders Daily Discipline, at Substack, Apple Podcast, or Spotify Podcasts. You can also search the title netwinningtrader.com. Both of those will help you find my podcast. Love you to subscribe. And I think you'll like my Traders Daily Discipline presentation every week. I do a Monday through Friday. Best 5 to 8 minutes start to your day is what I'm hoping for. Okay, guys, that's it for this week. Hope you have a fabulous week. I'll see you Monday for my podcast on the 27th. And in between now and then, have a great weekend. Try to have some fun. I think we're due. Thanks again, guys. See you next week.